Hello folks, this is Edmund from Horse Puncher Games, and I'd like to talk to you about something that's kind of frustrating for me. I am a Unity developer. I really enjoy Unity, and it's got a great system for downloading assets called the Asset Store. There are a lot of really powerful assets out there, and they range anywhere from free up to $25, $50, $100. And one of the things that I've noticed is, and this is the frustrating part, there's a lot of great assets that are expensive but not reviewed. I don't know if it's a failure of the site to encourage reviews or if it's a failure of people who are buying these to not review them, but it's frustrating when I have to make a kind of a leap of faith, and I don't usually like that. 2D TileZone is something that I took a bit of a leap on, and it was $25. It's a 2D tile mapping system that lets you not only build, your tile grid, but also automatically drag out and design levels without having to deal with, individually dropping tiles. And I jumped on it because it was such a powerful option for someone who doesn't have a development team. One of the problems as an indie developer, I'm extremely indie. I have 3/4 of a game, and it's not a particularly big game. So it's just me, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there in a similar boat where we just don't have anybody else to really rely on. Big game companies have 15 developers and a bunch of designers and some QA people and some support engineers and just a whole bunch of stuff, and we just don't have that. So what we do have is the Asset Store, and I went ahead and bought 2D TileZone, and I just want to give it a good review. I really want to take the time to show you that it's worthwhile. I'm not an expert with it by any means, but it is definitely worth $25, and I highly recommend that you spend your money on it if you're going to be doing any kind of 2D sprite-based game. It's worth its weight in gold. In fact, the developer, Dave, who... and I sent him an email, and he responded within like 15 minutes to help me set it up. He's a really good guy, and that kind of quick response and personal touch is worth the $25 to me alone. The catch is that the current 2D TileZone in the Asset Store does work with Unity 5, but it doesn't work out of the box with 5.1.1. It's a little older. It's from like September release, and I guess he just hasn't had a chance to update it yet, or at least he hadn't. But he was kind enough to contact me after I asked him about it, and he sent me a beta copy for me to review. So I actually have a preview of the 5.1.1 version that works, and it works straight out of the box. It's really good. There are a few glitches, but it's definitely worth your time and energy. And I'm just going to show you something, just one of the simplest things that it can do that is super powerful. So here I've got a brand new Unity project. It's just got a blank camera and my assets. I went ahead and I built a level material, but you know what? We'll do that from scratch, just so you can see. Super simple, yada yada. That's going to be very loud and annoying at me, isn't it? Okay, so let's close this tab. This would be the absolute minimum you can get out of a Unity project. You boot it up, you got your main camera, and the only asset I have is 2D TileZone. By default, by including 2D TileZone, you get a cool little window called the Tileset Editor. If you use the window menu to pull it down, it will pop up as its own little menu, but you can just drag that tab over. I usually make this like this little animation menu here, have all of my little tool sets. So Tileset Editor goes right next to that, and right away you can see what we need over here. We need a material. Now, one of the cool things is the 2D TileZone comes with some sample tile sets, and in order to use them, all you need to do is make a new material, and we'll just call this level, I don't know, whatever, level material. Go ahead and set your shader to unlit transparent so that you can get the transparent edges. And let's go into tile sheets. There we go. We've got our dirt tile sheet. If I open that up, you can see we've got a whole bunch of different things. We've got some grass, we've got some dirt, got some rock underground kind of things, some dark underground, a tree. I think those are doorways. So we're going to go ahead and apply. Let me go back here. Let's get our material. Yep. And we'll just sloop. Drag that over there, and our material should be all set. And let's go ahead and plop that in there. And just by dragging it in, boom, now I've got this grid of the tiles. And you can change the tile size. Here it's 16, and that's what I usually use. But I mean, if you have a 32 by 32 or whatever, it does use square tiles. I haven't figured out how to make it. I don't know if it can use non-square tiles, but I mean, I use square tiles, so it's not a problem for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a layer. And you can say how many tiles by how many tiles. Let's make a 20 tile width layer. There are checkboxes here for create random dungeon and create random platformer. I've never checked them. I don't know what will happen, but I probably don't want to make a fool of myself on YouTube. So I'm just going to leave those unchecked, and I'll experiment with them in my own time. But for now, we've got a new layer. You see it creates a layer object up here. And you've got a couple different options up here. By default, this X means you're not interacting with the tiles. And that means that you can like click and drag your camera without having to interfere with your tile map. But when you're ready to paint, you just come over here, click your little paint brush, and boom, you get your tile map. And it gives you a nice little grid. I'm going to zoom in for you. Gives you a nice little grid here. And you could, hypothetically, click on what you want and where you want it, and there you go. Ooh, we got some grass, and I guess we'll add some grass there, and that's cool, or whatever. But the really cool thing is if you scroll down a little bit here, you can get auto tiles. I'm going to say one auto tile. You could have like 3 or 4 auto tiles. Maybe one auto tile is dirt, one's grass, one's rock or whatever. We're just going to go with dirt for now. And I'm going to go ahead and load. You'll notice that he gives you a whole bunch of cool resources, but you don't need to use them. But loading your dirt tiles, here we go. You'll see it makes a little kind of like a tile map of all the possible angles and combinations that you can have. If you are designing your own tile sets, which is what I'm doing actually, I'm working in Pixel Edit. I don't know if you guys use Pixel Edit, maybe use Photoshop, whatever you use. It's very easy to import them. But I would recommend go ahead and to start with, when you get used to it, copy this style just so that you can figure out where your corners are supposed to be. And once you're comfortable with that, you can go off on your own. But you do want to match all this up for the auto tiling, because what I'm about to show you is amazing. All right, so if we check this, that means we're drawing this auto tile. And if I come in here, I can just draw a level. How freaking cool is that? Come on, that is awesome. That is a really powerful thing to be able to do. Imagine, you could do entire vast stretches of your level without having to do any fiddly stuff. And then when you're ready to do fiddly stuff, you're like, well, I want this, whatever that is, to be right here. And then there's I think it's a block. I think it looks like some sort of box, wooden box. So it's just really cool that you can set that up. And then when you're ready, you can come up here on your level, and there is an option for update colliders. You click that bad boy, and boom, you get an automatically generated collider. It's not perfect, as you can see some of these little angle pieces, but you can just edit it. It's just a regular polygon collider. So all you have to do to fix that is spend a couple minutes doing that, and then all of a sudden you have a working level. I mean, it doesn't get much cooler than that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the one other feature just off the top of my head that this thing has, which is really cool. It offers this thing called 3D walls. Now, I will say I haven't gotten this to work on the new system. It works. I've got it to work on the 5.0, but in the 5.1.1 version, I haven't been able to get this to work properly. But obviously, by the time it makes the asset store, it should be working. When you hit Update 3D Walls, you can switch to 3D mode, and yet, unfortunately, that did not work. But you get these automatic extrusions where it actually goes out, extrudes into 3D space, and you can then apply a point light and get some awesome effects. Like it will, shadow in here because it's underneath this little overhang, and all kinds of really cool stuff. And that just, it works by default. Like it's just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna work, which is boss. So there's a lot of really good effects, and I'm not even showing you half of what this thing does. I just really wanted to get a chance to poke it and give it an adequate review, because it's worth the time and effort to review this thing. A lot of people don't take that time, and I just wanted to. So I highly recommend that you guys check out 2D TileZone. It's super powerful. It's $25, which if you're like me and you don't know if it's going to be any good, is scary. But now that you know that it's awesome, it's not scary. It's totally worth it. I highly recommend it. There are a few bugs. As I said, this is the beta version that I'm looking at, so I had a little trouble with getting 3D extrusion to work. And I also had some problems. Occasionally it would crash, and it would just give you like an oversized array issue. So it's entirely possible that there's still some kinks to work out. But seriously, it's totally worth it. Highly recommend you pick it up. If you do pick it up and you can't seem to get it to work with anything on the 5.1.1, like if you buy it from the asset store and it's the old version and it hasn't been updated yet, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I will be more than happy to give you the details on how to fix it. It's super simple. Honestly, the changes that I made were really minor to get it working. So anyway, that's my first product review as an indie developer. Whoa, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're interested in more things like this, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I am kind of addicted to Twitter. It's just Horse Puncher Game. And obviously, this YouTube channel will have some more reviews up soon. All right, thanks. You guys have a good one.